Wow. Wow. That's all I gotta say. It's wow. Just wow. My computer just rebooted. I said, no, did my video card disconnect? Not technically. The entire thing just rebooted. I don't know what happened. It just rebooted. I don't know why, what. Everything, I mean, it came up pretty fast. It was going again. But I was straightening up my desk so I could demo this thing for you. And it took me a few minutes to get myself back up and running. So, yeah, that was, that's all I can say is that was just a big wow. I don't know what caused it. It could be that I had something sitting on the cords over here, but I'm not sure why that would cause it to reboot. Short of, I mean, it's a tablet. So, I mean, even if you unplug it, it keeps going. I mean, I guess it's possible. It went to sleep, but that shouldn't have done anything. It shouldn't have caused everything to reboot, because I could have unplugged it, and since it's closed, it could have just no. Because if I'd gone to sleep, everything would have still been there. No, it rebooted. Everything was gone, and I had to wait for it to get itself going again. So, yeah, that was another thing. You know, you're probably like, dude, this guy has a lot of technical problems. And I'd agree. I agree. I have a lot of technical problems. I don't know what causes it, what's going on. Maybe I'm just unlucky. I don't know. I'm not unlucky, though. That's not it. I'm a lucky guy. I'd go more with blessed than lucky. I mean, I've yeah, I know you're like, this is a guy who's been out of work for 11 months, and he's calling himself blessed. Well, up to this point, it's been pretty good. God's taking care of us. I mean, he's made sure that things have been there when we needed them, and I'm sure it'll be fine. It's a little nerve-wracking when you don't know what's he got in plan, though. I mean, it's true that God's plans don't align with our own, right? So, whatever he's doing, he's got a different timing for everything. You're like, it's got to be by now. Okay, at least by now. At the very least by now. he's like, just, we'll get there. It's like, but, nope. I got it. Just give me peace, Lord. If you're going to do something, give me peace. And you know, this has been a rough period, as you could guess. You know, being unemployed for so long and 250 resumes later and job applications later, and only a few little blips of calls, you know, to give me opportunity, which didn't pan out, obviously, or I wouldn't be out of work. But what's happened is all right, so in August, I had to transfer money from my old job to I had to roll over my IRA to my personal IRA, because obviously your 401k is no longer valid, right? I mean, when you leave a company, you got to take your money out of their 401k and move it to a private thing. So I rolled it over into my own personal IRA. And we knew we were going to be short of money because, you know, we were running out of time. So back in August, I said, well, I'm going to keep the Roth. Now, the nice thing about the Roth is you only have to pay. You don't really have to pay anything. I think you pay like interest on what you earned, and that's it. You don't have to pay any penalties or tax when you keep Roth rollover money, because you've already paid taxes on it, so you didn't do anything to bypass taxes. It got paid for. So that's one advantage of Roth. It's a little bit more accessible. The penalties, there's really no penalties for taking Roth money early, other than you have to pay interest on what you've gained, which really wasn't that much because there was only a couple of years worth of Roth. But it gave us some money that, based on our burn through of month-to-month expenses, and we cut back. We did everything. You know, we cut a bunch of stuff out of our day-to-day bills and expenses, and we said, all right, fine, we're going to reduce, and we're going to try to simplify things a little bit. And And for the most part, we got it cut down to what we think is pretty skeletal. I don't know, maybe not as skeletal as some. But I calculated we had till December. Christmas and all this other stuff was just going to beat us up. And I mean, we went really, we went lighter on Christmas than we have in decades. Our kids are all grown, so it really wasn't as big of a deal. We don't buy as many gifts for them and stuff. And so we spent, I'd say, several $100s less than we normally do. Which, we have a range that we usually hit, and we were probably 30% less. Probably not as much as we could have been, but we did. But ultimately, we went through December, then we went through January. Now we're going into February, and we've already paid our house payment, which is the big payment of the month. So it'll probably get us through February. So we're already at least 2 months past, and I think we've got another 1 to 2 months left. I'd probably say 1. March, things are going to get really scary, because by the end of March, I think we definitely got March. I think we'll definitely get through March. But anyway, it's extended 3 months longer than I expected. So God's given us a little bit more time. He's helped us to figure something. We've cut back. We've done whatever. Something. It's gone better. Longer than expected by a good amount. Ultimately, I've been trying everything. Door dashing. I've been trying to promote my stuff, but not as much as I should. Like the Mage Cages, which I've sold 20,000 of these things, and I've sold them. They sell good when in the right market. So if I'm marketing them to the right people, they sell pretty well. But the thing is, marketing costs money, so you have to do it mostly by word of mouth to get anywhere. And I don't do enough ads on my streams, but my streams are small. I get 20, 30 people per stream. I mean, viewers per stream, tops. Even on my best streams. On this channel, I only have 11 followers, so I might get 5 to 10 views. So it's not a ton. So it's one of the things I'm trying to do, is start focusing more on promoting more and getting things that I have that are worth something to people and have some value. And so I'm trying to generate things that create value. And one of the things is the Mage Cage. The Mage Cage is a case that I developed, I want to say about going on 20 years ago, in the original form. Anyway, it's not in that form anymore. I've upgraded it a number of times. And when I first ran them, I said, this thing's going to sell good. And there's a whole backstory to it. In fact, I probably have a video somewhere about the whole backstory. But ultimately, I made like 10,000 of them, 8,880 of them. And it took about 5 years, but we sold through all of them, which was about 3 years less than I had hoped to, or more than I expected it to go. Again, I don't market. I don't market very well. I don't know the process, and I was all new to this stuff. But I did sell through them all, which is pretty good, 9,000 units, right? So I made some more. We upgraded them. I made some minor tweaks and changes. And I made an additional run of them. And this time I actually made a unit that did not have the interior ribs or the interior rib shelf on the inside, which allows you to have like a tiered background so your guys can kind of stack up in the back. And what it did is allowed for different types of things that go in there, not just miniatures, but paints and cards and other things that can go inside the cases. Made it pretty good for those purposes as well. And so over time, we made some upgrades, and I did these clear ones. Unfortunately, we're out of clear ones now, but I sold through those like crazy, like a month after I got them from my Kickstarter, right? My first successful Kickstarter. But I wanted to show you. What these were. And I'm going to show you on this stream, and maybe I'll even show the other stream, I don't know. But ultimately, the Mage Cage is a storage case for miniatures that if you collect miniatures, you're into gaming, D&D, HeroClix, Star Wars, whatever game that has a bunch of minis in it. There is... I'm trying to see how the best way to do this is. I've never actually tried to make my desk into a demo zone before. So Bear with me a moment while I do this. It'll only take a minute. Okay, so this is 4 Mage Cages. Now, you can see how it's all connected here. This is actually 4 units attached, top to bottom and front to front. There are hinges on the back here that go back to back as well. This case can be opened up by pushing down on the handle, separating it like this, and it just slides in. Then you push in on the ribs right here, push down on these little guys here, and it swings open. So now, this is 4 Mage Cages. These are all the miniatures that go inside of the case. And you can see that they have, well, I don't know if you can see. Let's break this one off here. Now the way you separate them vertically is you just grab the bottom one and push back on the top one like this. And they just come apart. Now, they have front opening doors, so that makes them easy to get to when they're stacked up. And all you have to do is push down on this guy like this. And then they just swing open. Okay? Just like that. Now you can see inside here, if you look closely, there's a little ribbed shelf back here. Now this has got a magnetic strip on it, which we sell these. And there's also a magnetic strip on the bottom. So we sell flex iron bases that go on the bottom of your minis. You can see it's on the bottom of that guy right there. And they're pre-cut to fit different size miniatures. And you can see how that they would go right inside the case. So that keeps them from, you know, your minis will stay in place when you're walking around. You know, they'll stay in place pretty well. And then these are some bigger minis that are in there. Now, with big minis, you don't need to put as much. I only have a tiny piece of flex iron on that PC. It only covers about half the base, because you don't really need it to hold these light guys, because this is a resin mini and he's so light, he's not going anywhere. If you have a big heavy metal mini, maybe a little bit more flex iron will touch more magnet, get a better hold. This actually has 2 skinny strips in it. I have actually a 2-inch strip that'll go inside of the case as well for a little bit more, maybe a little bit more space, because the pieces can overlap a little bit more. But each case will hold about 20 or 30 minis of the smaller figures. You can put some bigger ones in like this if the bases will slide underneath the shelf and back. So you can get a fairly decent amount of overlap. So that back shelf that's in here will then make it so that you can put minis behind all these guys. Even though they're big, normally you wouldn't be able to because their base takes up almost the entire bottom, but because of that shelf, you can run a strip of the 25 millimeter minis in the back. You've got, like I said, they connect in all kinds of directions. You can just take the front like this, push them together, and that connects them front to front. But back to back, if you want to have a stack, you connect some vertical units like this, connect your back units up by, you can see getting these ribs just like that, push them in there. And then when you're on the other side, you just push back, snap them into place. Now, your handles, which every unit comes with a handle that comes in, they come like this. And then you're able to pull them out and cross them between the units. Always push down on the handle when you're pulling it out, because there's a hook on the inside or a little ridge on the inside that grabs the hook of the handle so that it won't slip out when you're carrying a heavy load of minis. But there you go, now you can get to all of them. Now obviously you can do front to front as well. Another handle will cross from here to there. Okay, now you got a big case of cases. Now one of the things you can also do, which I always point this out because to me it's actually one of the cooler things you can do with them. On the back of the units, you can see that there's these holes. These are mounting holes. You put a screw through that and you can mount them on the wall, so you don't have to drill a hole in the case. And when you put one in, I recommend putting like one in a stud and then one in the drywall, because I don't think this other one will reach a stud. But then you can just hang units off of the top unit. So you're able to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. However many you want. I don't know if you want to hang 10. I think the most mine are about 6 or 7, and that takes up a good chunk of height, just hanging off of one level. And then you can actually add more to one stack side by side on the wall, or you can just put them side by side and just hang them, you know, multiple rows of them, and put each top unit, attach them to the wall. You can do like every other unit if you connect 3 of them together, and then you have less holes in the wall. But it's nice because it's only about, you know, it's a little shelf footprint that's only about that thick. And yeah, you can cover your whole wall with miniatures that you've been painting or collecting. I've got Hot Wheels and I've got all kinds of other stuff in there. You should check it out. I think if you're into miniatures, you'll really like them. Go to YouTube or Instagram. You can see more pictures and videos of ways to assemble them and put them together. You can get them at amgamesdirect.com. That's my website that has them. Yep, there you go. I just wanted to make sure, give you a chance to see these things I keep talking about on a regular basis, because I'll mention them. I'll mention them a lot. I am my advertiser. So. Back to work. Okay, so I did complete the test deployment here, and so let's go ahead and run. Let's open up my OneNote, get my command down. I got to also go back to here, go to Docker. So once I get this and validate that the test one works, I should be able to go back to I should be able to merge to production, create a PR. Oops, what did I do? Oh. I forgot. Now I've got to get in the habit of taking the entire tag, which is not just that, but all of this. Now that I understand how the tag is actually written, I got to take the entire tag. I'm assuming I haven't broke anything recently. Apparently like that. Oh, I did it again. I don't know if I should do a Docker desktop. Do I automatically start it when I start my computer? I need to somehow create me like a script that when I call this, Docker Desktop is opened. I don't know if that's possible. Is there a way to do that? So that when I run it on my local computer, I can do the tag and then run a script that will run the thing with. There's got to be a way, right? So this way, just make sure Docker Desktop is there and I don't have that problem. Okay, so now we're open. test again. All right, so it's going to go pull my new test images. Hopefully everything will run according to expectations. Now this is the second part of the test of everything I've done. The stuff, like I said before, was all about manipulating my dev environment so that it would load up different sets of environment variables using the Docker tool, Docker files, which meant my Docker files had to be able to allow it to get files from a different location. Whereas before they were like literally blocking me from doing that, so I couldn't do my dev. So I had to put in some code into the Docker file that said only copy this when I'm not in dev. So now I got to make sure that that piece of code didn't break when I am not in dev. So as long as that works, the copy works correctly still, we should be good. The test will be working. And if the test works and the dev worked, which they did, I should then be able to run my production one, which is just me doing a PR and getting this to run through. So only a little weird thing here. I've only got 6 things there. So I don't know if the Docker desktop is just not there, or so test is fully up. Dev is only partially up, which is kind of weird. And I only have 6 here. So test doesn't have an ngrok. That's right. So test is actually correct. It doesn't actually own an ngrok functionality. I'm curious though, because why would dev only have one thing? Did it just not start? Might have just not started. I mean, there's no. Yeah, it probably just didn't start on its own. I don't know why the ngrok kind of ran on its own, but okay, so we're okay. So dev works, test works, test is fully up. Let's go make sure everything's working. I don't have an ngrok for test, which I don't need one. That's fine. Let's go ahead and run my front end. Front end is functional. Yay me. And then we're already logged in, so it means it attached. It did connect to the database. That means AMG auth is up and running. All my other things. That one ran. We're going around navigating. So it looks like everything. I don't know what closed. That was from before. This is kind of weird. Look, I have to figure out why. It's like some things are here, but when I go. Okay, what happened here? We have. Oh, we did have. Okay, that's totally weird. All right, I don't know what just happened there. Should we try to add a play just for fun? Or a condition here? So this is my offense, this is my defense. So on, let's just say on 4th down and less than 2, I'll say less than 3. We'll say, but we have, we'll say less than 15 yards to go to the end zone. We will, minutes and a half, say minutes and a half, we got less than 5. And we're going by, we're leading by, we're not leading. I'll say negative. Okay. Do I not allow negatives? That's a bug. Gotta allow negatives. How do I put in a negative? Huh. Not 48, but sheesh. Apparently There's some weirdnesses here. I'm going to say 0. Stop it. So it won't let me get rid of the values that are in my points. And therefore I have to write a value before I can delete a value. So that's not good. We're going to have a preferred play type. Now I don't have any kind of nice listing here. This is still like just getting going, man. I did basic stuff. Second option will be a 6. And then favored play, we'll say is a 2. And then we'll say add. Game plan saved successfully. So I probably don't need that popping up every time. But again, just get it going, man. So now I have an offense and a defense. Wait a minute. Well, maybe I don't. I saved it, but when I go back and forth, it's not reloading it. Oh! Maybe because it doesn't reload it. I think I'm not actually reloading it. So if I switch, I don't have it in memory. I mean, it got saved, so like if I go refresh, there it is. But I have to add it to my local object to save it to my... see, I got some bugs still. Again, I just was getting it basically running. Now, we have all of our parts in place. Okay, so everything's there. So that's test. Test is functional. Obviously, it's just barely functional. But that stuff will get ironed out. We're early. We're early phases, man. Here, I'll be right back. I got to do a quick step away. Okay, so that's it. Okay, so let's go ahead and do let's go to production. Let's go see how my production one runs. So we'll go here. Oops, no, wrong one. Go here. We're going to go to workflows, and then I got to go to my code. I'll go to create pull request. And this is a Go MS init integration. We're going to actually say we implement case insensitivity to non-passwords. I'm sure I did other things. Can't remember all the stuff. So let's go look. Let's go see if I can see the code. Pre-code. No, I remember you. You were here yesterday speaking in Portuguese to me, and I had to translate everything. It reminds you of Hogwarts. Yeah, well, you know, it is kind of in that same vein. So this is the game I'm creating. It's a American football simulator manager. So like in the vein of, let's say, there's a front office football 25. There's a game on there's a lot of them on the Android phone that are kind of similar in ways that they let you do stuff. There's an 8-bit game called what's it called? Retro Bowl, that does a little bit of simulation, a little bit of management. It's a very basic game. It's not that. But what I'm doing is I'm taking a whole different approach to this. So a lot of the manager games, okay, so you see games that are like Madden 2025, right? Graphics are all about it. I mean, it's all about the play, and you get into the game, and the game is center point. But the management aspects of the game are widely considered terrible, as far as the ability to manage your team and draft and build up your characters. Look at track their stats and just do the team management. And I don't even know how good the game plays as far as coaching goes, but it's all about the graphics. Okay, and then there's the games that are like the management, like front office football or American PC football, something. I don't know. I have to look. I have a whole. In fact, I have an entire market research Edge workspace dedicated to this thing, because I've been looking a lot of research. I want to make sure my game is different, and I'll tell you, it is. It's going to be a lot different. I will show you a little bit of what these games are, just so that you can kind of get a feel for what games I'm going up for. We got front office football, which is one. Now this one is just
to navigate where I wanted
heavy
to
duty
so
management.
Just be aware of that.
You've got things that are, I don't know, where my graphics are terrible. I gotta fix the. See, can I make this look better? Oh yeah, it's a little better. Okay, so this one is going through, and you have all your players, and you got tabs and tabs of information about your players. There's some soccer games that do this too, by the way. In fact, one of the best managers called Football Manager something, and it's a soccer game. Football as in football, and they're considered one of the best manager games out there. But as far as American football goes, so you can see how he's showing you all the stats. Sorry, I wish I could speak Portuguese. I would try better to enunciate, but I don't know how best to make that easier for you. But again, just giving you an idea what I'm doing. And this game is, here's a general part of it. This is the simulation. Now I have a lot of plans for how this simulation is going to work. Okay, so this is just the most basic. This is only a few steps about what I did in the first couple of weeks of designing this thing. This is just random numbers being generated to allow these two teams to kind of compete against each other. And then I tweaked it so the scores come out kind of even. But I want to make this into more of a fantasy style. So when I talk fantasy football, I'm talking fantasy, like Lord of the Rings fantasy, Hogwarts, that kind of thing, where you're talking about the characters that are playing are, you're going to have creatures and things that are all going up against each other. But the thing is, they're only going to be playing American football. There's no special skills or abilities implemented into the game. But I will try to do like custom animations for things that they do, perhaps when they score or do big plays or something that's not game breaking. I don't want to have people flying in the game or being bigger and stronger. There's other games for that take football and try to mangle it. I'm not doing that. This is going to look, it's going to be just like real NFL football. It's going to have the same kind of rules-based stuff, but it's going to look more fantasy-like. It's going to be very fantasy-like. I'll give you an idea what some of the characters might look like. Let's see here. And then we'll go over here. We'll go streaming. Oh no, that's the wrong one. Go here. We're gonna go find my in development. Sorry, I think I have the wrong one. Products. There we go. Products. And then in development, NFL experience. Okay, so these are kind of what your characters are going to similarly look like. I have characters. I have one team that's called something. I can't remember the city name, but they're Frost Giants, and they're going to be kind of a chibi style character. So this is one type of Frost Giant, and then you've got and this is the Rhinos. And I haven't really created too many others, but I do have one that's going to be made the V-Born Scorned. This guy's way more cartoony, so obviously they're going to all be familiar, but this is just kind of scratching the surface of getting some basic idea of what images are going to look like. And these are imps, and these are lizards. These are lizards. So this is just basic art. I haven't come up with a consistency yet. But so yeah, that's kind of what it's going to be, and that's why you kind of see this odd attempt at. So you can see that I've kind of got some fantasy style books and the game plan, and this is the one of the coaches. He was a coach of the Island Swans. So that's a swan. So got the swans. The swans are the New Orleans Saints, by the way. They're just different names. So it's going to be interesting to translate all these guys like this, but that's kind of where it's all going. And but it's not there yet. We're still pretty early on. Oops, what did I do? Nope, don't go away. Don't want to do that. Go back. Implementing case insensitive and non-passwords. Oh yeah, I was going to look at what changes I made, if anything else. What significant alterations did I put in here? Some comment changes. Nothing too significant. You have a swan in your house? Really? In or at your house? At your house? Create indexes. Oh, let's create the insensitivity. I had to do a lot of stuff to get the insensitivity working. I didn't want people to have to log in and worry about their ID being case sensitive, or the code I give them if they back me. So I finally got, once this is done, I will have my entire app. That's weird. Oh, it's development. Okay. Okay. That's cool, man. Is it like yours, or is it just one that comes to your house and, you know, like it migrates there and hangs out until it's time to go? Or is it actually a swan you actually own? That lives, that you've made a pet? So, let's see. I think that's all I really did on this one. I didn't make too many changes. This was a pretty small update. Yeah. Okay. Oops, didn't stop it. Go away. Alright, so again, these changes are going to get smaller, and they're going to be pretty small in time. If my case is interested in password. Also made adjustments to allow local dev container deployment or in Docker. In on it. But isn't, well, okay, I don't know Portuguese, but I know Spanish a little bit. And N-E-N typically means in and on. But isn't at like A, the letter A? I mean, that's how it was in Spanish again. So, E-N, like, estoy vivo en una casa is in a house, but I guess it could technically be on a house. Most people have to assume it's not on a house. But still, yeah, en is kind of in and on. But I thought at was something different. Yeah, in English though, they are slightly different. And at is, yeah, so I mean, at can be slightly interchangeable with in sometimes. I mean, like to say you have a swan at your house is adequate as saying in the house, but in the house will mean it's in the house. At your house can actually mean it's in the house. It could be in the yard. It could be in your property, you know, because at just means it's at your location of residence, whereas in means it's in the house. So it's a little bit more precise, whereas at can be a bigger area. So it's, I know English has its things, but to be fair, all languages have something. They all have something that's a little, that can make it a little odd and difficult to know. You know, like the whole, I mean, in English, we don't assign gender to objects, but in Spanish, I mean, again, I don't know Portuguese, but it looks like there's some similarities. But I know in Portuguese or in Spanish, there's, you know, you assign male and female gender to pretty much everything. You got una lápiz or a pluma, which is kind of weird. You've got the you know, you make some things female, some things male, and I don't know what the logic in that, other than the fact that the way they're spelled, right? You have an A or an O at the end, so it's knowing that, and then you have to use a different form of in Spanish. You have to use a different form of like un or una, depending on if it's male or female. See, so English has its weirdities, but so do other languages, because that's a lot more. In some ways, that they're a little bit more general. Like you can use en instead of in or on, but at the same time, you also have extra versions of or because you have to have all your male and female versions of objects, and you have to know which are which. So it's kind of they all have their thing. I mean, and really, to be fair, I only know Spanish as an alternate comparative. I tried to look at Japanese on what is it? What's that app that everybody, Duolingo, that everybody uses to learn different languages, and I couldn't. I tell you, man, that is like, I might as well be learning alien. It's like you got just symbols, and you have to know what all the different symbols are, and some of them vary just by a little bit, and yeah, and some of them can mean multiple things. It's just, yeah, I do not get Japanese. I would love to learn Japanese because it'd be a cool language to know, just because of that. But I think I have to stick with what I know and kind of know, which is Spanish. I knew Spanish a lot better in the past than I do now, and that's kind of why sometimes I can look at it and make do or kind of guess. But it's the main words that are harder, because you have to know what that particular verb is, or a noun is, whatever they're using. It's like the connector words I know pretty good, because those come up in learning a lot. But some of the other words, not so much. All right, let's go see how we're doing here. Oh, how come it's running the test again? I thought I fixed that. It's not supposed to be running the test again. Oh, stop doing that. It was supposed to not run this. I thought I fixed... Well, that says prod there, right? That's test. How come test is running? That's so weird. So test is that one. So how come test says master? Oh, that's the right one. I don't know why it's running twice. The test should not be. Once I've run test here, I should not have to run. It should not run test again here. That's kind of bugging me. Can I go here and ask? I don't know if Copilot is smart enough to know where I'm at here, but why does my test workflow run when I merge to prod / master? Only the prod workflow should run. Yeah, I noticed when you were talking to me before, you commented a couple times in the past with the Portuguese that it looked similar to Spanish. How do I give you access? It's like, what if I want to let you have access? I don't know how to do that. Settings. Copilot in your chat and get a mobile. More features. All right. How do I give you access? They are there. They are in that very location, my friend. PFFM. They are in the workflows folder, and I don't believe I have put any restrictions on that. say una lápiz. In Portuguese, it's una lápiz. It's a male word. Lápiz. In Portuguese, it's lápiz. Oh, is it un lápiz? It could be. It could be Spanish. Is it un lápiz too? I may have misspoke, because that one doesn't tell you what it is on the word. Lápiz is it doesn't say, like with pluma or casa or coche. Well, coche's not. Coches doesn't say it either. But bicicleta, they all say the A at the end. So you could tell it's a feminine, so it's una. Lápiz is just IS, which I could have got it wrong because I'm kind of rusty. So it could be un lápiz for all I know. So in Portuguese it's uma. So is un. So in Spanish it's un. In Portuguese it's lápiz. So you're gonna teach me Portuguese. What you're gonna do is confuse me. I'm gonna start looking at Spanish or Portuguese, and I'll be like, wait a minute, is that Portuguese or Spanish? Is it? Wait, no, that can't be right. Because there's no I believe there's no in Spanish. That's the Portuguese thing. So is the female version then, or a female word uma, uma, like una in Spanish? Set of Docker for copy.env only when not in dev. I don't know why my you know what it is? It's a private repository. It probably can't access it. I think I know what it is. This is a private repository. I mean, to be fair, most languages, even English, is a derivative of Latin. It's just a way broad derivative, because English is an amalgamation of a lot of languages, right? So English over time has become such a broad thing, but ultimately it's, especially American English, it's a little bit of everything. The words all come from Latin in some form or another. So some of them could be coming from Spanish to English, or German to English, or French to English. Who knows? But English over the years has just become this amalgamation of a lot of stuff. And but it's a lot of languages to some extent have branched out from Latin, because it's such an old language. It was the granddaddy of all languages, right? I don't know what languages existed prior. I mean, I guess biblically speaking, what Hebrew and some of those languages might be just as old, but I don't know. I don't know what the Latin is considered one of the oldest languages. I know that. Kind of makes sense, though, if you think about it, because according to the Bible, there was a point where everybody spoke the same language, and then that wasn't that wasn't working out in God's eyes. So he scrambled everybody's language. But ultimately, he didn't scramble it so much as confuse the languages amongst each other. So they all became derivatives of languages where they couldn't understand each other anymore, but they were all still speaking a form of the base languages. It kind of makes sense. I know. I mean, if you're not Christian or you don't believe in that stuff, then you're probably like rolling your eyes. But if you are, then you're like, oh yeah, that does make sense. I'm reasonable enough to understand that not everybody's on the same page as me. Hey, Disky 800, how you doing, man? What's the latest? Pizza. My wife makes homemade pizza sometimes with her sourdough crust. It's pretty good. Hey, I'll talk to you later, Brea. You have a good one, man. WBU, what's it been with you? I'm good, if that's what you're saying. It's been good. I'm fine. I think I might be able to close up all my sprint items. I think I got them all done. Assuming that this production run did its job. I might just very well... Alright, what did it tell me to change here? Test call YAML workflow is triggered by pushes to any branch, excluding main branch, and any tags. However, you mentioned it runs on merging to prod master. To prevent this, you can update the workflow, exclude prod master as well. Here is updated. Oh, interesting. I thought main was master. Okay. I thought main equals master. Main has replaced master as the default branch name. If your repository uses master as the main branch, you should replace main with master in the branch ignore section of your workflow file. Huh. Well, I am just using the GitHub defaults, and it was master. But yeah, I get it. Let's change this. So that'll hopefully fix it for future purposes. When it starts ignoring your comments, I just like, okay. I have had it do that. Like you'll state something on a comment to it, and it just like ignores you. It's like, okay, I understand what you're saying, but stop blaming me. I don't want to. It's like sometimes I think it takes it personally. So hopefully that will. Oh, you weren't here for my explanation earlier. Okay. Yeah, okay, so this game is a football game, like American football. Let me show it to you. I think I have it. I think I have it here. Yeah. So you're looking at this going, what? That don't look like football. But I do have a little football guy up here with a super S on him. No, what this game is going to be, we'll call it an amalgamation of three things. Fantasy, Madden-ish. I'll tell you where it's going to match in Madden in a minute. But like front office football or football head coach 25 on the Android, or even consider a much more robust version of Retro Bowl on the Android, because it is going to be an Android app as well as kind of a web app. And then it's going to have a fantasy theme to it. Now, ultimately, what it is you're still going to be managing your football teams, much like you would the NFL. Like if you're managing football players, you're going to draft players, you're going to pay salaries, you're going to be able to build them up, their stats and skills. You're going to be able to create a playbook with regular old NFL type style football plays, just kind of that kind of stuff. But there are things, I've been looking for a game like this. Of course, it's going to be a ton of work. It's going to be a boat ton of work. But the stuff I've accomplished so far, I've gotten done in a couple of months. But a lot of what I've been doing over the last month, I'd probably say the last month at least, minimum, is infrastructure. Getting my dev environments and prod environments and my deploy continuous integration, continuous delivery parts all in place so that I can start doing head down coding and start getting it out. My most recent sprint goals were to make it so that I can have a publicly accessible production access, so that I can give out backer codes to anybody who backs me on my websites or my campaigns to try to raise money for me to do this full time. And so I'm going to give backer codes to people to give them access to the game as it's in development and start having access to be able to test it, play with things as they become available. So my biggest goal was to make it so that I could give that. That was my goal for this month. Make it so it's accessible. And now, hopefully, I've done that. I've got a production version. I'm about to run the production version. As a matter of fact, this is my test version. But so you're going to have things like here. This is all very basic. I mean, this is what I've done in a couple months. I've just been basically putting in the placeholders for stuff. But I've got my game plan here where you can set up your down and distance for what kind of plays you want to run at whatever distance and point setup you are. It's got some little bugs and quirks, and I'll continue to iron those out over time. I got my playbook here, which is where you'll be able to add plays and set up your playbook for how you want to be able to, what stuff you want in your playbook, what stuff you're going to use. But there will be a lot of features and functionality in here. Like you would click on a play, and it's going to show you how the play's done. I mean, you've been averaging so many yards per play. This particular player maybe is getting the most yards out of this play. Just information for you to know and hopefully build up a good game plan. But here is my niche. Here's the thing. Some of this stuff kind of exists to some extent in a lot of different games. So I'm giving you bits and pieces that a lot of different games have that I kind of like. But there's also things in a lot of the other games out there that I'm not a big fan of. So some of the manager games, which they don't... Front office football and some of these other games that are like, let's see, this is my tool here. So you can see this game. This guy's got, if you were to go look at this front office football and just look at all it does, it gets so far into the weeds. In fact, I'm like shocked at some of the stuff it gives you. And to me, it's just like information overload. It's like, does it really matter how much a guy could bench press? Hey, this guy can bench 225 27 times. I'm like, okay. Oh, I know what that is. Man, every time my wife uses that thing, it freaks me out. It makes the house sound like it's just shaking. So anyway, it's like it's got all this information. It's like what I want to do is narrow down all the stats and abilities that the game will have to things that actually matter. So in other words, if this value changes or that value changes, it's going to affect something about that player or the game or the playbook. So that's my goal. So I want to keep it narrowed down to functional values. Okay, so you don't get excessive information overload. Key information, standings, plays, finances might matter. How much is it going to cost you? Yeah, I'm going to put a lot of kind of cool number crunching in there because people like number crunching. I get it. It's not going to be all the number crunching. It's going to be some cool stuff, some not. But that's going to be where you deal with what's going on with your play. Yeah. Actually, to me, the hardest part's going to be the graphics. I am a numbers guy. I like. In fact, I've actually created a board game. It's called the NFL football experience. It's not out in the world yet because I haven't been able to pay anyone to do my art for me. So, in fact, this is these. In fact, I'm building this game that I'm working on to some extent based on this game. So here's a couple of decks. There's like an offensive deck and a defensive deck, and these are just prototypey cards, so they don't look that great. But essentially, they've got plays on them, what they're called, kind of what they do, the abilities of the play. But there's other kinds of cards too. There's ones that these are what I call skill flash. So I got skill flash and environment cards, and these are cards you could play during the game to affect kind of how the game is running. And then one of the player cards is looks like this. Okay, so it could be just as easily a mini if you had something that marked it, but it tells you what their stats and abilities are that matter for the purposes of the game. So these might be all that matter for the purposes of the game, but there will be other stats in the game that affect those numbers. What those numbers, how they can tweak, how they can change, and ultimately in my game, maybe instead of being on a base of 20, they might be based on 100. So I can go a little bit more deep, refined with that stuff. But your models of your minis, or not even minis, of your characters will look more like the creatures that represent their mascot. And so what you'll notice with a lot of these manager games is that the game itself, the simulation of the football game, takes a back seat. There's nothing to it. In fact, almost every one of them does something that's maybe even less than what you're seeing in my game. So when I go here and click this, a lot of those simulations, when you click simulate, all you see is a bar that goes back and forth. It's like a move, score, move, score, move. That's all it is. And you're just looking at them, and you're like, so the meat of the, nobody wants to see that. It's just like you could do a quick sim, you could push a button and just say, get this done, and then they go do the management part, tweak the game, and then you go run the sim again and see if you do better, if your team does better. But it's boring. I want the game, to me, the whole point of football, American football, any sport for that matter, if you're doing baseball or soccer, whatever it is, the game is supposed to take center point. All that stuff you do in the background is supposed to make it so that your team gets to come out on top on Sunday. Sunday. So you can get to play, you can win the Super Bowl, and you want to watch and enjoy what's happening and root for stuff happening on the field. Yeah, so it's not going to be, but my game is not going to be Madden. This is where it's different. It's going to look kind of cool. It's going to have a fantasy feel. There's going to be some cool things involved, though. I'm going to have the field, the game going on. You'll have some interaction with it. Like you could, some of the functionality is going to be things like you can click on the fan zone and fire off emojis, which are actually like cheers to maybe boost. Or you can tap on a player between plays and he'll respond to you. Like maybe he'll turn and wave, or he'll cheer, or there'll be some interactions you can do to the field that respond to your touch or your actions that allow you to get involved, and it'll have an effect. Like maybe there'll be like some motivational effects or different things that can happen on the game that you can have an effect on what's happening in the game without controlling the players. And I personally kind of have a thing against games that let you control players. And the reason for that is because it becomes, the computer can never keep up with the way a player plays. It becomes a matter of how many points can you score. Have you ever watched a demo of a Madden game? Like, go to YouTube and watch any of these guys who play Madden, or on the phone, or even just on the PC, and they're just running up the score. They win 99% of the time. It's because when you take control, the game is not set up to match how you play to the way the game runs, and they haven't mastered a way to minimize your success. And I think a lot of people get frustrated by if they actually controlled how well you succeeded, people would get frustrated. Because if you really think about it, how many times do you get a score in a game? It takes a lot of work. You might have games where you only win 3-0, and that's after an hour worth of play. So many of these games, they shorten the game because they only give you like a 2 or 3 minute quarter, because they know they'll just run up the score to be 1,000-0 by the time the game's over. So they're 3 minute quarters, 5 minute quarters, and it's because you don't want to be stuck. So what I want to be able to do is have a game that runs actual time. By the way, an actual football game only runs about 20 minutes. The NFL games, there's only like 20 minutes of gameplay. Most people don't know this. There's only about 20 minutes of gameplay in the NFL. With timeouts and gaps between plays, that might get close to an hour. But generally, you've got very little actual play occurring in an NFL game. There's so many chess games out there. Everybody in the world's got chess. There's every kind of chess that's been done, man. I play chess on a regular basis. By the way, if you're a chess player, my chess ID on chess.com is, guess what? Guess. It's Active Mind Gamer. Yeah, that's my game ID on. So if you ever want to play me, look for me on there. I'll gladly play. Now I am a good player, but I am not a great player. I am not a grandmaster. I'm not even a master. I'm one of those guys that falls in the better than average group, but not. I won't call myself. To me, okay, anybody above 1,1500. Lee chess? Oh, I've heard of that one. I haven't played on it, but I've heard of it. I just play on chess.com because that's the one I use. I do the puzzles each day. I play in some tournaments every now and then. I'm currently running about a 1330. I love chess. I've been playing chess since high school. I used to play on anytime you tell somebody you played chess in the high school, they call you, they've said, "Oh, yeah, it's official. You're a nerd." I said, "No, I'm not a nerd. I'm a geek." And I explained what a geek is, by the way, yesterday. So if you watch one of my, I forgot what stream it was actually. I think I streamed 3 times yesterday. But there is a difference between a geek and a nerd, in my opinion. A nerd is hyper-focused on a small zone of knowledge in the what do you call it? In the fan base universe. They know their comics super well, they know their video games super well, they know something super well. But typically they might even know certain movie genres, sci-fi or whatever, super well. Over to the point where that's kind of their knowledge focus. A geek is a jack of all trades in that same genre. So you've got your your fan based knowledge, right? But a jack of all trades means he's probably going to know a little bit about everything. He's going to know a little bit about the sci-fi. He's going to know his comics, maybe one thing or more of the other he knows a lot of, but probably not going to be the nerd in knowledge of any one zone, right? So if you have a Star Wars nerd going up, a geek nerd of Star Wars, the Star Wars nerd is probably going to know more. He's going to know the intricacies. He's going to know who's a descendant of who and whose cousin, where the names originated, and who the director was. They're going to know so many intricate details that the geek will be blown away. But you take that same nerd and take him out to go play a game of tennis with the geek, the geek's going to kick his butt. So it's kind of like, here's the ultimate thing. A geek is a nerd crossed with a jock. That's what a geek is. That's my opinion. That's how I call it. So a jock doesn't know a lot of that stuff, but he's just all about the sports, the hiking, the tennis, the football, the weightlifting, whatever he does. He just a little bit of everything. He's good at it. And then you got the nerd who's just hyper focused on his thing, and then you got the geek who can be athletic to a point, loves to do all these kind of things. What is that? No. I don't know what that is. But so yeah, that's a geek versus a nerd. I'm a geek. I am I like a lot of things about the nerd culture. But I'm also big on doing athletic things and being physically active. In fact, I have a channel dedicated to it, although I haven't streamed on it in a while. I work out like 6 days a week. I used to stream some of my workouts. Then I couldn't figure out a niche. I couldn't come up with a niche for my stream, so it's kind of been idling. I did get it up to 100 and some followers on Twitch, but right now it's just sitting there because I haven't figured out what to do with it. Besides, even with a niche on that, I couldn't figure out how to promote my stuff, my Mage Cages or my game development or anything that was going to help me, to turn this into something. People hate math and code. Well, not true, but there are a lot of people who won't watch it. True. Yes, you either like it. It's not that people in general. It's just that you either like it or you hate it. It's a diversive thing. People are into coding and games, and so I think eventually, as this game gets further, I'll get more and more people who like the idea of a football game to come and check it out because they're going to want to see my progress. They may not be so interested in the coding itself, but they'll want to see my progress and maybe start getting involved where they can get one of my beta codes and start being able to log into my production. And because that's what this whole thing was about. I finally got it to where now I have a production site. I can give out beta codes or backer codes, sorry, and for anybody who's backing me, and they can log in, and as I start giving new features and functionality, they can start playing with it. Granted, right now it's going to be there's not much to it, but I'm going to be adding that now. Now that I've got my infrastructure in place, which is what I've been focusing on, I'll be able to do a lot more stuff. And I don't know. I mean, you're right. Twitch doesn't do as well. I've gotten a lot more. I just started this channel I want to say 2 or 3 weeks ago. Probably 3 weeks ago. No, it's been a month. It's been over a month. It's like when I ended my when I started my Indiegogo campaign. Okay, so I gained like 30 followers on my Active Mind Gamer channel when I was doing this, but I already had over 120, so I don't have a ton of followers anyway. So there's that. So, but at the end of December, I had an Indiegogo campaign where I was starting this project officially starting this project, even though it'd been like a month or two of development, but I hadn't. Why does it keep showing me that? No, stop it. The link will take you. Stop doing that. Stop trying to show me stuff. So anyway, I decided to switch. I said, you know what? I'm going to split my programming of this game away from my other channel. Active Mind Gamer is just what I do that's game related. So I'm either playing video games or board games or painting miniatures, which is game related because they're miniatures or miniatures games. So all my game related activity, that's what Active Mind Gamer is all about. Unfortunately, that's also my best channel for promoting my Mage Cages. And it's also the one that I have the most followers on YouTube. It's also the one that is my Twitch stream. TikTok, yeah, I haven't been putting a lot on TikTok lately. I'm wondering if TikTok's going to be around. I mean, I know it's around right now, but it's only got a reprieve. It hasn't been officially saved yet, at least not that I know of. Good old Trump saving TikTok for all of the masses. But okay, I'm going to say something that's to all you Trump haters. I'm not a huge Trump fan either, honestly. To be honest, I don't like any of the people. Trump is a guy who's just unlikable. I mean, he's just unlikable. It don't matter if you like him. It don't matter how good a president or a good at his job he is. He's just an unlikable guy. But people vote for him because they think he's good at what he does. The guy's a jerk. I'm just going to say it. But here's the thing. I am happy about what he did yesterday. Because I'm sorry to all of those people who think that they can just be female at any point in their lives. Wake up one morning and go, yeah, today I'm female. I'm going to go beat all the women at sprinting. Go Trump. Yeah. I'm so glad he did what he did. And I'm sorry. I just can't support the whole guys going out and saying they're women and beating women at their sports. I think that's screwed up. I think that to me is just wrong. I'm sorry. It's just wrong. If you can't beat the guys, then work harder. That is to me one of the best things he's done so far, and I hope if he keeps doing that stuff, go Trump, man. So anyway, like I said, so far here's the thing about him. He doesn't care what people think, so he doesn't hem and haw. If he thinks something needs to be done, whether you like it or not, whether you're on his side or not, barring legal blocking, he just does it. He doesn't worry about what other people say. He just tells you to go beep yourself. And this is why people hate him as a person. But those people who like what he's doing are like, this guy gets stuff done. And that's why he got elected, is because those that do understand his approach and they like what he's all about, he gets it done. And he doesn't worry about what other people say. It's because there's a lot of people who are so worried about their image, they won't act, or they'll try to dot the I's and cross the T's, and it could take months and months for things to get through. They'll try to make sure. He just says executive order, bam, we're not doing this no more. It's like, okay, now whether or not that holds up, somebody's going to fight him. It'll end up in the Supreme Court, and who knows? But right now, it's the law. Maybe it stays, maybe it doesn't, but at least he's doing something, And that, I gotta say, high five, man. At least in that case. There's probably things I didn't back. I wasn't all that impressed with his, but that's one I'm 100% behind. Anyway. So I want to turn this into more of a fantasy-looking field. I have ideas. I want to make the field look grassier and more rough, like it's in fantasy. Okay, here's the premise. The premise I'm going with right now for the game. All right, I don't know what is going on, but I gotta close this. I got some weird thing going on my computer or my phone here, and it is driving me bonkers. Cancel, stop it. He keeps trying to redirect me to something. I don't know why it's doing that, but it needs to stop. Okay. How do I go away? I can't close it! I don't want it to run. I want it to go away. Alright, let's do that. There. Let's see if that fixes it. Alright, hopefully we're back in a state that's not weird. Oh yeah, sorry about the Nightbot. It does if you overdo the emotes, it kind of has a cow, but I don't think it'll do anything. You know, I didn't even change my title on my stream. Is today 52? Today's 53. What am I doing today? Sprint wrap up. Alright, so anyway, ultimately this is all going to have a similar theme. I'm going to start having characters in here. I'm going to start playing. I'm planning to put a lot of features in. I want to make watching your simulation be fun. I want it to be something you look forward to. So there's things I like about what Madden's doing. Madden does some stuff that's a lot like actual watching a football game, right? When you watch a football game, you're not controlling the players. You're not even interacting with the TV at all, except to yell at it with your friends. But you're enjoying it because they're giving you a lot of feedback. Usually it's the announcers talking, or there's stats popping up on the field, or you have a team that you're rooting for, and when they do stuff, it's exciting. And I want to do stuff like that. So here's kind of some of my ideas, like things that you can look forward to, special effects that happen when things happen. For example, here's one of the things I would like to do. If you've got a character that, say, is streaking down the field, you know, he catches a long pass. Now, I'm not going to have him have special abilities, but let's say this character has wings. His team or his type of character has wings. I'm not going to have special stats. He's still going to run the speed he runs. He still catches the way he catches. It's still just NFL stats. I'm not going to break the game with any abilities that any character has. But I'm going to have appearances that allow them to be unique. So while you're watching a game, maybe he's streaking down the field and his wings start to flap and he starts picking up and he starts to leave the ground a little bit. But a tackle comes in and tackles him. He's not actually flying, he's not gaining any special speed or ability, but it's just kind of like, he's gonna go score. But if it does turn out that it's a touchdown, or that he runs all the way, he might actually leave the ground and take off, you know. But it's like, there'll be a build-up. You'll see, oh, he's gonna go, and this guy starts to leave the ground. Or maybe if he's a big guy like the rhinos or something, maybe they grow bigger and they get stronger, and they're starting to get bigger and bigger right before a tackle. Or maybe they just thunder through the end zone. Or, you know, it's just stuff like that, where the image, because the way the game's process, especially with a simulation, is the results, how the play executes, is defined already. It kind of already knows, and it feeds that information to the UI, and the UI basically plays out the results of the play. So everything's happening real time and being sent back to the UI. Now, if you're playing against a friend, like your team is playing their team, you're getting the same information back. But it was centrally created, so it knows exactly what's going to happen. So as something's occurring on the field, the UI can take liberties with what's happening and start to create an environment that makes the viewing more fun. Stuff happens on the field that's fun to watch. And so I want to be able to have people go, have a game going on the field that actually has players on the field that look like these mascots. But you could actually set it up and just run the game. Say, if I'm streaming, I could have a game for the week for me running up in the corner. And you can kind of see how, hey, yeah, that's my game for the week, you know. It's like, oh, he's scoring. He's running down. Go, go, go. You know, it's like, and then I can get back to whatever game I'm playing on the thing. Just have it running in the background because it's fun to have it there and running. And I can, have it running, going at whatever's happening. Now, I don't know how much of that's going to be available on the web version of the website, but I've got cool ideas for the web version of the game, too. Super cool ideas, like streamer abilities, where you can go on chat, like you would be able to type on there and go, sub at running back. Sub at would be like the command, and you say RB. And then a Disky 800 takes the ball and runs for 3 yards. And you might say, maybe it'll have you stay in there for a couple of plays, or you actually get subbed into a game that I'm running as part of my stream display. So this would be like my game would be running down on the bottom corner of my thing while I'm doing whatever else I'm doing. I have this down here in the corner, and I would be doing whatever fun thing I'm doing, but you'll see this game running, and people can just inject their name, what play they want to run, things like that through commands in the chat, and it'll feed it to the game that I'm running on there, and you'll be able to see those results appear on the game. And then you can do something like, if you come to my stream on a regular basis, and you've been injecting yourself into my football games, you can go stats, and it'll look up a Disky 800 and go, the Disky 800 has 15 yards of running and 5 yards of receiving and has thrown for 2 touchdowns or something. Based on when you've injected yourself into the game, it will have collected your stats that are basically just your guy overlaying on top of another player, but taking those stats and putting them into the record books. And so it'll pop up a player card and show you your stats when you put that command up. So you're actually interacting with the football game that while I'm chatting, while I'm streaming. So I think those will be cool and be fun to have. And again, have people be able to interact with the game. So I have some cool abilities or ideas, and all of that's going to happen. In fact, some of those chat abilities are going to exist probably before the Android app is fully ready to go. And just because the Android app, I'm really going to be working on. Hey, Preya, how you doing, man? Welcome back. No, I'm really going to be working on the UI stuff, but Unity is going to be an interesting challenge for me because I know nothing of Unity. Of course, to be fair, when I started this project, I knew nothing of any of the stuff I'm doing. I never heard of Go. I had never heard of I've heard of Mongo and React, but I barely used them. I don't think so, man. No, he's got way too many real comments here. That's not. I am getting. There's a lot of stuff on here. He may have some stuff going on, but I don't think he's not a bot. Nightbot is a bot. Nightbot is a bot. But Disky's not a bot. Way too many responses. Nightbot was just commenting on the fact that a Disky used multiple. Nightbot was commenting on the fact that he had multiple emojis in one line, and I don't know what its standard is there. Now attacking FUGE, now that's a bot. I gotta dump him. Cheap viewers. I don't think the viewers like being called sheep anyway. Okay, so where was I? Let's go get my let's get my UI started here for production and see if it works. I'm ready to go close out my sprint. Let's go do it, man. Up. Oh, I gotta set my tag. Dang, nav levels. Let's go, and what did I do wrong? Docker components prompt the system cannot find the specified. Alright, let's go back here. We'll go to actions. Oh, wait, nope. Gotta go to Docker first. I hope so. I mean, ultimately, I think it's going to come down to... All right, wait. Do I have... Oh, yeah, I got my test and everything is overlapping. I hate this. So I think... All right, so these tests need to go because they are... These are the dumb extra... Test. Okay. Stop it. Okay, so this is the one I want. Unity is the engine I'm going to use. I'm not using it yet because I have, my daughter-in-law is kind of helping a little bit. She knows Unity. She's going to be looking into some of that stuff. She already got like the project started for Unity, but it's going to be the Unity engine that I use on the Android applications. And ultimately, when I get around to doing it in a Windows app, which will be like the fourth version, React and Android are my first, and then I'll compile it to run on Apple. And then, if all things are going well, I'll create a PC version. Now, the Apple, or the PC, Apple, and Android versions are all going to be a lot more graphical. And my React version probably won't have a lot of the same graphical stuff because I don't know what you can do with, I don't think I'll be able to do there won't be 3D models and stuff like that. I don't know how I can even inject all that. So there's going to be a lot less coolness. I want to say less coolness. I don't know if that's the right word. But I might be able to do some stuff. I want to be able to make it so that wherever you run the game, you can use most of the same features. All the same features will exist, except there may be some visual things you don't get from the web version. But most of the functionality will exist in all versions. And it will crisscross. So obviously if you do stuff to your stats. Oh. Daughter. I do, but I don't know what that... oh, no, it is my daughter. It's my daughter-in-law. And she's really not. I call her she's kind of a pseudo-daughter-in-law, because my son, they're not married yet, but she's my... They've been together long enough, and she's been part of the family long enough that I kind of call her my pseudo-daughter-in-law. And then I have my daughter's got two friends that she's known since she was in junior high school. And, well, one of them at least. The one she's known the longest, I call her D2, like R2D2, as in daughter number 2. So I always call her D2. Whenever she shows up, hey D2, how you doing? So I always call her D2. This is a different person, obviously. But she's been so long part of the family, she's been around so much, I just think of her almost like another daughter. But So yeah, no, it's my daughter-in-law, and I never know what to refer to her as. I could just call her name, I guess. But she knows Unity. She's had jobs where she was doing Unity. Now she's pretty young. She's in her mid-20s, and so she's not super experienced, but she knows a lot more than me in the area. So I'm just taking advantage of what she knows, and she says she's willing to give me a hand. Oh yeah, it is kind of unusual. She's actually surprisingly, I think she's kind of a graphic design kind of person. She doesn't consider herself an artist. So she's somewhere between me and an artist. I know the back end, I can get the logic, cool function, that kind of stuff going. That's me, that's my brain. My brain likes to do the functional, make things work and work out. And then there's artists, right? These guys, they're all about the cool creation, the visuals, the drawing it out, making things look great. And then there's those people in the middle. They're the graphical designers, I want to call them technical artists, where they can take art and merge it with the functional. And that's kind of where she considers herself, as in the middle. So ultimately, I'll still need art, but she's able to do some stuff maybe with that art that might get it into the game. But it's hard to, I got to learn all this stuff. And so far I've learned all this, but Unity's going to be a whole other animal. But the thing is, Unity is based on C# as far as a back-end language goes, and my 20 plus years of programming experiences, a lot of it's been in C#. Granted, older iterations, but it's still syntactically C#. And so I understand the syntax, which will help a lot. But there's still a lot of functions and stuff I don't know, but AI is helping me get through some of this, so we'll go with that. I will say this, I would not be as far, in fact, to be fair, if I had been trying to do this stuff without AI, I would not be nearly as far as I am. I would not be anywhere near. The amount of stuff I've gotten done in 3 months, to me, is actually pretty freaking cool, in my mind. It's cool to me. It seems like a ton of stuff I've gotten done in 3 months. And it gives me hope that I can get a lot done in a year. Like, actually have... Oops, nope, don't want that. Why did I copy all that? That's way too much stuff. It gives me hope that I can get close to an actual full app within a year. But I might be, I could be overreaching, but I think I'm trying to keep optimistic. All right, let's download prod. Let's see where prod is. Okay, so the AIs. I'm an expert. I'm officially an expert. I've been working with them now for 3 months solid. I mean, I've been working with them every day for hours and hours and hours. And I have found what I like and what I hate about AIs. One, they have very short memory. Which one's the best? I've been going back and forth between ChatGPT and Claude. I've since abandoned Black Box AI. I don't use Black Box AI nearly as much anymore. I have used it in the past, but... Now, I will tell you this also. Copilot's version of ChatGPT and Claude is not the same. They are not equal. I consider... Alright, here's what I do. I consider Copilot, Microsoft Copilot and GitHub Copilot, both of them, we'll call them the younger siblings of the full-blown web versions of ChatGPT and Claude. If you want good, solid, explained, and oftentimes more accurate answers, go to the websites, ChatGPT and Claude. But those obviously cost more. They're up to, if you want to have a lot of uses, they cost like $20. Here's what I did as far as purchasing goes. I bought GitHub because for the price, you get unlimited questions. You never run out. Okay? And it will answer most of your questions. So I give GitHub's Copilot. You also have access to both, like you see here, I have Claude and ChatGPT 4.0 and these other ones. I've never even tried Gemini. I don't know what it does. I've tried O1 Preview, and honestly, this O1 Preview gave you an answer, but it's ugly. They don't give you all the details, but it can solve some problems too. None of them have all the answers. There's none of them that will always be able to get you where you're going. I've learned this. None of them. Be willing to change pages. Once you've given one as many tries and options as you can come up with, you've tried every type of iteration, just say, okay, you got to pull the plug, go try another one. And you'd be surprised how often one of the other guys can answer the question. Typically, it goes towards the web pages. Like, I'll use Copilot because for now I paid for it, I paid a year, but it was only for a year it was like $60. It was way cheaper, right? And I have unlimited amounts of uses. If you pay $20 a month for ChatGPT or Claude, I think they're both about the same, you don't get unlimited, you just get more. I think Claude is like 5 times more, and ChatGPT doesn't even tell you how much more. It just says more. That's so irritating to me. So you can't even keep track. There's no counter or way to know. It's just going to cut you off at some point. It's going to say, yeah, you've hit your limit. I'm like, so it's like at any moment you could be asking it a question and it'll go, nope, you've used it. ChatGPT, though, does have the benefit that when you run out of questions, you actually get to keep going. It just drops you to a lower level version of ChatGPT. So that's one of the nice things about ChatGPT. You never have to end your conversation. Claude, you're done. When it says you're done, you're done. There's no coming back until like the next day or whenever the timer runs out. It'll say you can do more at 8 o'clock or more at whatever time, which could be many hours. But so keep in mind, I am finding, though, that Claude gives some of the best answers. And oftentimes some of the coolest answers. But it also does a lot of... It tries to be cool sometimes when you don't want it to be. Like, it'll refactor your code, and you're like, no. Like, if you write complicated code, like you wrote something that you know is kind of complicated, it's doing some weird things, don't let these AIs refactor your code until you've gone line by line and been absolutely sure that it still does everything it did before. Because these AIs make mistakes. Trust me, they make mistakes all the time. They cut things out, they change something just a little bit, and it breaks the way the code functions. So be very careful when you're letting AI rewrite your code. So oftentimes I have to tell it, this works perfectly for me. I only want to know how to fix this. Be as detailed as possible what you want. Yes, you got to be very careful and you got to be very specific. The more, look, I even wrote this little bit because the AI kept trying to. I wrote this. This is a prequel to a lot of my questions I've been doing lately. One of the things I needed to do. Okay, so all this GitHub Docker stuff that I've been doing, that's while I'm talking. Since I brought down my containers, I brought them up. Let's go run this, and then I'll go back to it. So let's go to my container here. Got prod. Oh, prod's only half up. Oh no, somebody didn't come up. The ngrok didn't come up. Well, that's not the end of the world, but I kind of need ngrok. What happened to ngrok? ngrok errors. Read more about the agent configuration file. Your account is limited to one simultaneous ngrok agent session. Oh! That might not be the end of the world. I might be able to get this up. I think I just need to close this guy. And, oh, I might have to go close my dev one too. Actually, I didn't know that. I can close this. Alright, so that should shut down my ngrok. Go here. I'm trying to see if this will run now. Is it thinking about it? Because it's not. It's half and half. It says it's restarting. We'll see what it does. Alright, man. Hey, whenever you get plugged in or whatever, next time I see you, we'll chat more. But, yeah, ultimately, I was trying to do with my Docker, I'll finish explaining this. That's supposed to see structure. My file struction. Oh, well. That's another good thing about AI. It's actually pretty smart about typos. But, oh, I'll keep up the game. It'll be there. I will continue to progress, and hopefully I'll be able to get, someday soon, I'll get my first backers, and I can give them my backer code, and they can start playing the game as I produce it. That'll be fun. People giving me feedback. So it didn't like. Oh wait, is it running? Oh, it's running. Oh, what do you know, man? That's what you do. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, that's supposed to be going to my, there you go, that's production, man. Production's up and running. It's not going to the right URL, though. That's not my, it was supposed to be my, I have a URL that this is supposed to be using. It's supposed to be the free fixed URL. What do you call it, the static URL? Alexa, turn off Firestorm. I can't believe I'm getting hot. I'm usually freezing down here. What's the temperature? It's 36 degrees. It's not like it's warm outside or anything. Alright, let's go create an account. Oh, did I ever finish? I never finished. Let me finish. This is one of the AI problems I had. And this is because Docker by standards explains that using volumes for things like your environment variables is preferred. It's the standard, it's the norm. But the problem with using volumes is that means every user who downloads the Docker images has to have the environment variable at a location on their system. It means you have to have, if you have prod, you have a prod environment variable. If you have dev, you have a dev environment variable. And then you have to set, it has to be at the same location on your machine that the YAML, that the Docker YAML is referencing in the volumes. So that when you go run those Docker, what do you call Docker containers, it can reference your file and use those environment variables. So you'd have them for prod and dev and whatever you're running those container values, images. But I don't want to do that. I want to be able to have like a test environment that, say, Joe Blow developer says, hey man, I want to help you test. And I say, all right, install Docker, which is fine. They can install Docker. It's not that big of a deal. It's free. And then I give them the command lines, and they just run them on, I don't even know, you can probably even run them within Docker. I haven't tried, but I'm pretty sure you can go like Docker Hub and download and run. I'm guessing you can do that. I've been running them all through Docker command lines here, but I'm guessing you can just do it through Docker. Download the images, run them, because they'll be fully contained. I want them fully contained, which means the environment variables have to be in the image. Okay, great. That's not good. And so for me to do that, I had to do some kind of special machinations, which meant I built up my environment variables within the GitHub, and then that had to be put in a place where that my Docker files could copy and put them in the image as part of the build time. But getting to that point where everything worked, because every time I'd ask a question of the AIs, it kept going, well, I'll do this and do this, delete this, and put in a volumes there. I go, no, I don't want volumes. Can't use volumes. Stop telling me to use volumes. I'm not doing that. And then it would say, oh, I'll do this, and then you can kind of do this. Like, but that's doing the same thing. I need it to work where I need it to work. I need it to be fully self-contained. So that's what this does. It goes through and says, and then it also explains the exact file structure of my files, because those files need, because it was getting confused as to where files were sitting in my file structure. And so I said, fine, I'm going to put this in every time I start a question. Bam. And then this is my problem. And then it worked really good for like Claude and ChatGPT on the web. But you give that same kind of logic to the local GitHub Copilot, and I tell you, it has a limit to what it can conceive. You do stuff in Copilot, it'll remember everything in your chat. It'll go all the way back to the beginning. I could ask Copilot Claude do the same thing, but after about 4 questions, it's totally forgotten about the questions before. It's like I'm asking it a question that relates to the previous questions, and it's like, I don't know what you're talking about, man. This is what I say do now. And it's like, that's totally different than what you told me 2 questions ago. So if you want consistent chats where it remembers what it was specifically talking about before, use Claude and ChatGPT on the website. They have way better memories. If you expect that you may have a long thread, use ChatGPT. Because ChatGPT 4.0, even if you go over the limit, will just drop the quality of your ChatGPT down to 3.5 or whatever, but you get to keep asking questions, and it typically stays on topic. So that's where ChatGPT excels. You've got a little bit more flexibility, even if you run out of your 4.0 questions. Claude is probably better at stuff it does. It's better at coming up with cool refactoring ideas. It's going to help you to improve your code maybe a little bit more. ChatGPT will do it too, but I don't know. I feel like lately Claude's just been doing a better job of that. But they both have their flaws for sure. I don't like everything about any of them. They all mess up on times. They will run you down rabbit holes. Just learn to be very specific. Provide every little detail of what you have, and provide it files, because it's going to be even worse if you don't provide it files, or at least the code snippet that you want it to work with. Because simply explaining it's not always enough. Just saying. If you ever want an expert's opinion, I consider myself an expert now. I know everything about AI and how it's going to function in your coding. That's not true, by the way. I'm just talking out my butt there. But if I knew everything, I would be able to get all my answers on the first time. But just think about it. It's like explaining a problem to a senior developer, and he might be able to help you. People are more understanding, though. People can gronk onto what you're saying a lot faster than AI does. What is the, this is working out. Ah! Kablooey. No, anything but a kablooey. Why did I kablooey, man? What's the problem? Should not be a kablooey here. Oh. Oh? Huh. Well, for one, we're missing API in here. Should be API off. So we've got a bad value here. That's probably not. Let's go look on the prod. Yeah, see? It's supposed to be /API. That's not going to work. How did that slip through the... How did that slip through the cracks? Oh, this one does it too. Wait. Oh, now I'm so confused. Oh, you know what? It's probably... It's probably supposed to be /API in the... That's how... Yeah, it does have to be in there. I'm a little concerned by the fact that that looks... No, because it worked. It worked in the ngrunk for... So it should be fine. Okay, so I just need to put this in and... let's go look at my... I have to change... So I do have a little bit of a prod problem. A little bit of prod problem. Just a tiny little itty bitty bit. And I need to go to my secrets. Close this up. Repository. And we got Gateway API URL prod. Gateway API. Oh my gosh. Ah! I don't have a Gateway API URL prod. How did I manage that? I didn't even add it in. How's that ever going to work? Gateway API URL prod. I don't even know why I have a prod one. I mean, it's basically the same thing. And this one is supposed to be... This would probably be prod. I don't have the Google one working anyway, so that's not going to work. I should have noticed that these were a problem because they are underlined when they don't exist. But otherwise, Mongo password prod. Let's put this in the same. Alright. Well, we kind of sort of almost made it. Fix prod workflow gateway URL. Alright. So my wife has summoned me to go take a look at why our dog got out of the yard.
Incoming call from 206.
I'm going to check this call just a minute.
2744 for Ken Romero.
Hello? Okie dokie. Guess they're going to hang up on me instead. So now it's going to build my test, which is going to have absolutely no effect whatsoever on anything. And then hopefully it's also going to have my fix to test, which should prevent it from. Wait, I did put that in. I did. Oh shoot. Wait. That is. I gotta look. I did not mess up on that, did I? I think I checked this in already. Okay, I did. Alright. Hopefully that will prevent me from getting a double test, which will speed things up a little bit on this deployment. But in the meantime, I don't want to stop, but I do need to. I need to step out for a minute. While this is running, I'm going to step out. Ugh, I should I need a be right back thing. I haven't built a be right back page. Just to let you know that when I step away, I'm coming back. But I am going to come back. This is no good. I can throw this one out the window. I did, interestingly enough, too, this is wrong, too. I got to figure out why I got that. But why... I do have it. What is the ngrok? I have ngrok. Auth token static domain. Where's the ngrok static domain go? Oh, there it is. So how come that's not working? That's a thing too. I don't know, because it did not implement my ngrok static domain. It should have. I'm a little bit on the concerned side on that, but we will get there. We are super close. We've gone so far, and we're at this finish line. See, here's the ngrok static domain. It is set. Now, why it's not actually going anywhere? How come that didn't run? I don't know. Let's see. Workspace. Let's do a new chat. It's time to clean this up. Any idea why my ngrok static domain secret signed in the prod workflow is not being used by the ngrok service? And I deploy in prod using the docker compose prod cloud. Yeah. See, I tell it what files to use, and it's still like, check for these things. And it's like, what good are you here? I could just copy them into Claude or ChatGPT. Spot a few potential issues. The ngrok service is using M file, pointing to the common M file. But looking at the workflow, deploy prod environment YAML, the ngrok static domain is being written to the common.m file, but after the services are started. Docker compose setup happens after services are already running. Install ngrok run. To fix this, you should move the ngrok domain configuration to be an environment variable directly in the service. How is that different? Environment or command. Ensure the ngrok static domain environment variable is exported before running Docker Compose. Name, export. You should ensure it. See, thing is, it's not. It's doing that already, isn't it? Isn't that what Oh, maybe it's not. Export environment variables. Well, where do I put that? I'm running before Docker compose. Export environment. So I should probably take these two guys. Huh. Maybe. So I'm setting it and then I'm echoing them out there. Wait, I would have Docker username. All right. Well, I guess that means I have to try one more thing. We'll see if that works. Try to implement ngrok set domain ngrok. Hopefully it's done, so I don't have to worry about it bumping heads. Yeah, okay. Gotta do it again. All right, I'm gonna stop. I gotta take a break. I will be back at some point tonight. Probably post some people's bedtime because I know I will be back. Probably better be 8:30ish, 8:30, 9. I don't know, something in that zone. And tomorrow's Friday. Woo! Guess what I have to do tomorrow? I am trying out for another play. Yep, trying out for another play. I'm going to be, it's the same people I've worked with before, same studio. But I'm going to try for a bigger part. Wish me luck. I'm going to be trying to be Frederick Lauren. I'm Frederick Lauren. I rented the house on Haunted Hill so that my wife may give a party. A haunted house party. She's so amusing. There'll be food and drinks, and ghosts, and perhaps even a few murders. You're all invited. If any of you would stay here for the next 12 hours, I will pay each of you $10,000, or your next of kin, should you not survive. Ah, but here come our other guests. It was my wife's idea that they all come in funeral cars. Her sense of humor is, shall we say, original. It was my idea to have them come in a hearse, or have a hearse. It's empty now, but after a night in the house on Haunted Hill, who knows?